I'm George Miller. I'm a member of Congress from California, from the San Francisco Bay Area. I live in a relatively small town, Martinez, California. Beats the hell out of me. This is the toughest environment I've ever worked in, so I don't know. In some ways, I guess it's sort of a summative statement. That I've been out here plowing these fields day in and day out on behalf of children, mainly poor and minority children, or their families, or children with disabilities, and it's what I do every day. It's what I do, and that's some recognition. But I think it's also, I would take it back to this idea that you get up every day, and this is what you do. You made a decision, and your values dictate that you think children with disabilities ought to have access to a quality education. You think poor children ought to have access to a quality education. That's not a straight line. And so, as I said, it's just, you're going to get in here, you're going to plunge in, and are you prepared to go the distance? I think it's important. I mean, we're the people's house, we like to say with great, and they have a big stake in what's going on. And if we don't step up to engage in oversight, to engage in the investigations, to check whether or not this is really, essentially right or wrong, who would do this? And I think it's an incredibly important function. It can go off the tracks. It can become demagogic. We've seen that in the past history of the Congress. But it's fundamental. It's just fundamental. I think the federal government, in its best role and capacity, is a facilitator, an enabler, and a cop on the beat. I think when the federal government engages in, basic research at the great research universities, at the Berkeleys and the Ohio States and Michigan, and the so-called land-grant colleges and others, we then enable somebody to take that research and do something with that discovery. And somebody takes that discovery and makes it a product or innovates on it. And that's the growth. But that basic research in today's economic world isn't done. I grew up when there was Xerox PARC, there was AT&T. They don't do that anymore. They're not allowed to by Wall Street in many ways. So we have to keep renewing that cycle. We have to, I think, provide some of the foundations, if you will, of an education. The basic tenets of laying down the opportunity in an education, because obviously an educated population is important for democracy and it's important for an economy.